What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Joseph. Hold on, a little technical difficulties, but that's okay. We got it going. What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Joseph, and this is Fiction in Flow. And today, I have a special treat for you. I am going to get, I'm going to show you some of my personal collection in my comic book vault. So I want to start off by showing you where I got most of these books from. All right. Okay, this is a comic book storage bin. Now, your typical comic book storage bin is all white, but this is what they call a deluxe one. So they have the covers of comics printed on them, and they cost a little bit more. The average bin is about $10, but these run for about 15. And the average bin holds 100 comics. So it's sad to say, but I have several of these. This is what's called a short box. The long boxes are 2 times or 3 times as big as these, and they hold about 300 comic books. All right. So I want to show you all. Hey, I see we got people coming in the chat already. What's up, Tokyo Disney Dad? Thanks for joining the stream. I appreciate you. What's up, Regina? How are you doing? Thanks for joining the stream. So today I'm going to dive into my personal collection and show you some of my variant covers that include mostly female characters. All right. What's up, Zim? I see you in there. How you doing? All right. So we're going to kick it off with DC. So, for the most part, there's Marvel Comics, there's DC Comics. Those are the top 2 comic industries out there right now. There's a plenty more in independent, but I want to kick it off with DC. DC is one of the oldest ones around, and I want to go with some of the characters you may or may not know of. So my first book is a young lady created by the author Michael Brian Bendis, and it's called Naomi. Now, Naomi is a character who's kind of like brand new on the scene. She's this African American girl, and she lives in this town, and she was always kind of like obsessed with comic books. So she looked at different comics. She used to like idolize different superheroes in the DC universe. She always loved them. But her particular town hardly ever had any superheroes in it. So she was always obsessed as nothing ever came out around her. Then one day there was a rumor. She like used to watch the news feeds and websites and everything, and found out that a villain was coming in town, and like Superman was like fighting him. And she went to go like record it for her live stream. And like as the villain was fighting with Superman, like it destroyed part of the area in the town, and she was knocked back, but she didn't die. She ended up finding out that she had powers of her own. And there's actually a TV show right now on the WB or CW network, and it's a live action version of this called Naomi. So here's issue 1 of Naomi. So this is her with her in front of her board, kind of like marking all the superhero sightings. All right. And this came out a couple of years ago. And they tried to figure out who she was, where she came from, since she has these powers. She is also adopted. So she didn't know really much about her family life. Spoiler alert, she is from another planet, very similar to Krypton, from a different universe. And she has very similar powers to Superman. But to know more about her, check out her book as well as the TV show. It's actually pretty good. It's directed by Ava DuVernay. All right, top African American director. She has done plenty of films, Hidden Figures, and a lot more. It's countless films. All right. My next book in the lineup is a newer character on the scene as well, another African American lady. And this is a book called Far Sector. It's based off of a new Green Lantern. So I mentioned her in one of my previous videos for strong woman protagonist. You can check that out. And it talks about her adventures. She was a police officer, and she got tapped by the Green Lantern Corps, and she was given a special ring that didn't operate off of willpower like most Green Lantern rings. Hers was a little different. And she got put out to like the far edges of the universe, like no one visits out there. And because she was a police officer, she was asked to check up and investigate this murder that happened on this planet. This planet didn't have a murder for like almost 50 years. And all of a sudden, someone had killed someone. And so she was charged with trying to figure out who did it, how it happened, and what was going on. So this is a variant cover of issue number 9. It was a 12-issue run of Far Sector. As you can see by the hairstyle, she was modeled after Janelle Monáe, the hip hop artist or pop artist. And I love the hair. I love how they kind of just made her look different, and she's just rocking her own thing. One of my favorite new books that I've just discovered. They actually have the graphic novel of all 12 issues out right now. You can pick that up on Amazon or any other local comic shop. Next DC character is a classic you all know. It's Wonder Woman, one of the first female superheroines out there around, right? She's a classic. I know I used to love that old live action TV show with Linda Carter, but Wonder Woman is one who's been around forever. She has changed a lot throughout the years. She is a Greek goddess, and she was like born on the island of Thesmera. Actually, she wasn't, they changed her origin. Originally, she was created, she wasn't born. So she was molded out of clay by her mom, again, brought to life by different gods and goddesses, and kind of, was the champion for Thesmera. And she was tasked to go investigate the world of men, which is coming to the United States and the planet to see everything. But this particular version of Wonder Woman is based off the future. So DC did a run called Future State, where it was so many years in the future, and Wonder Woman has now aged up. And I'll show you what you mean when you see this cover. Okay, Wonder Woman actually has some gray in her hair. So once again, it's Future State, Immortal Wonder Woman. So I won't give everything away, but I'm going to zoom in a little bit close. If you can see her belt, and somebody put in the chat, what is that symbol on her belt? That is not your average Wonder Woman belt. Okay. I see I had a question from Tokyo Disney Dad about how do I box them in order. Here's the honest truth. I do not. They are randomized. Now that's a whole nother job to going through all my boxes and trying to put them in order. Yes, it is the Batman symbol. Batman is dead in this universe. And so she kind of took on Bruce's role. She kind of doubled down and was like doing Batman and Superman's work. And if you look at her necklace, it's kind of hard to see. I'm trying to get it a little bit closer. That necklace has kryptonite on it. So in this universe, both Batman and Superman are dead, and this is kind of her homage to them, right? Because they're known as the Trinity or the Big Three in the DC universe. Very good book. You can pick it up. All right. Okay. Hey, everybody, see you. Yes, that Linda Carter's him. I know. All right. Next book coming in DC is Nubia. So she's been around for a while. It's just Wonder Woman's sister. But a lot of people didn't know about her. So after Wonder Woman left Thesmera, they needed another champion there. And so therefore Nubia was created. Nubia is an African American who is kind of like basically their version of Wonder Woman, who stayed on the island. She never left, but now she has. And so she's going back and forth and trying to investigate what's going on between the land of man, so to speak, and then Thesmera. Currently, Hippolyta, Wonder Woman's mother, has been murdered. And there's a trial on Thesmera to find out who did it. And there's 3 different tribes, and they're fighting to become the new queen. And Nubia has temporarily been assigned the queen due to this. And here's the cover, a variant cover of Nubia and the Amazons, #1. I love how she's in that chair, just like how Black Panther had his throne. They also gave her a lion to rock with it. But I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. If you can see, I had this one signed by the writer at the comic convention last year. That was back in December when I went to C2E2. Check out some of those videos. But I got to meet the author, and she actually signed my book. And I love it because it was no charge. She signed it free of charge. Thank you, She Knows. Yeah, this is an awesome cover. The variants are like my thing. Like I said in my description of this stream, like I love hunting for variants, like a curator at an art show. Right? I'm always looking for the most rare ones or the harder ones to find. However, some of those rare ones are really expensive. Too rich for my blood, because sometimes the variants, I've seen some up to $125 for a regular cover, but it's so rare that it already costs that much. So if you can imagine getting that book signed, it will skyrocket in price. All right. Yeah. No, Zim, no lasso. Yeah, no. She has a different weapon. Actually, her weapon is called, forgot the name of it, but it's like the all weapon. It can form to whatever weapon she chooses, it forms to that. So Nubia rarely uses it because she's so good of a fighter, she doesn't need it. She uses it as a last resort. But I think that's a very good question. All right. Also, going with this DC Wonder Woman role, there's one more character that's new to the scene. And this new character, her name is Yara Flor. And, we talk about that, Wonder Woman is an Amazon and she's from that island and she, has done all these wonderful things, her and Nubia. So some writer decided to say, wait a minute, we got the Amazon. We have an Amazon version here in South America, the Amazon rainforest. So there's a new Wonder Woman type person. Her name is Wonder Girl. She's Brazilian. She's from the Amazon rainforest. And apparently this new tribe has been in hiding for years. But Yara Flor has been chosen as their new representative. It's written by Jolie Jones. And this is the cover of Wonder Girl #1. And I love her with her scream. And she's just like, girl power, let's go, let's get it. She has a sword. And one of her weapons, she has like a bolo whip. So it's not your standard lasso or the all weapon, it's a bolo. And she uses that to like kind of just wrap up enemies and goes in hard. She is a tough hand-to-hand combatant. So she doesn't even want to use a lot of weapons. She's like, I'd rather get down and dirty, get up close and personal. What's that?
He said, her second part of his question, how do you find it?
Trust me, Tokyo Disney Dad, about finding different books. It's hard. Like I have to sit down and kind of go through books multiple times, go through my boxes to really get them in order. That's a job in and of itself. Like if I was just incredibly wealthy, I would hire someone to organize and all of my comics by issue number, category, everything. But that's gonna take that's for another time. All right. Now DC's resident bad girl, Harley Quinn. A lot of people know her and love the character. She's been in the Suicide Squad movies. She's a good character. I like the character a lot. But what a lot of people did know, Harley Quinn did not start in the comics. I'm like, wait a minute, she's been around for a long time. Yes, but Harley Quinn came from the Batman animated series from the 90s. That's the introduction of Harley Quinn. But she had just gone over so well that DC decided, you know what, this character is really popular. Let's just add her to the books. And she's been in the books ever since. So this character did not debut until like the mid to late 90s. And this is Harley Quinn #25. And 25 is a collectible issue. So this is reminiscent of like an old James Bond cover. You have Harley with her sights, and she has Joker and Batman on each side. And I just love this rendition of Harley. Interesting fun fact, currently, Harley has broken up with the Joker. She finally realized he is not the person for her. And actually, she works with Batman, which is kind of crazy because, as you know, Batman has something he calls the Bat family with Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, and everyone else. She is now actually a member of the Bat family. This last DC book is also a Harley Quinn cover, but this one is a very special one. This one is called Harley Quinn and the Gang of Harlots. So she actually, at one point in time, when she broke up with the Joker, she kind of went and ran away into like this carnival area, and she kind of had these ragtag group of people kind of work for her, and they were still doing missions, kind of like, stopping some crime, but also getting some money from crime. And this is a rare #1, but this had what they call a artist cover. It was a blank section on the cover. And actually, I took it to a convention. I got to meet the writer, Jimmy Palmiotti, and his wife, Amanda Connor. And Amanda is the artist on it, and Jimmy is the writer. So it's one like a married couple that work on this book together. And since they were both there, they drew a special picture for me and both signed it. Okay, so Harley Quinn and the Gang of Harleys. And this is them. Both of them drew this picture together. So Jimmy drew the picture in the top portion, and Amanda drew the picture in the bottom. And I love this. I was like, this is amazing because it was just blank inside. And they both drew and added to this. And I was like, this was the greatest cover. And it was really good talking to both of them. All right. So drop a comment in the chat below. Let me know what you think about this cover. How do you like this one? Is this one worth something that should be in the collection? Or, this is like, this is just an okay one. All right. So I got a question for you. So Harley Quinn has, like I say, been in the comics since the 90s and kind of in the TV show. But does anyone know what was her original job? She didn't always start off as Harley Quinn. What was her original job before she transformed into this super villain? Any guesses? Any guesses? Thanks, Wally. Thanks, Zim. Yeah, I love that cover. Checking out the chat, see if anybody dropped the answer. Once again, what was Harley Quinn's job prior to becoming Harley Quinn? You see. Yes, Zim, you got it. Yes, he was a psychiatrist. He was a psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum, and she actually was counseling the Joker. And that's kind of where this love for him fell into this like weird, relationship. So she kind of got enamored by everything he was doing and kind of wanted to follow him and actually help break him out. And then he turned her into Harley Quinn. So yes, points for that, Zim. Good job. All right. I want to move on to some independent books. So the indie category has been blowing up as of late. It's one of like the most popular categories. So you get a lot of books that are off the cuff, a lot of interesting characters. Also, the independent books have a little more free reign to kind of do what they want to do and kind of tell the stories how they want to tell them, and express themselves a lot more and not have the same restrictions as your Marvel and DC comics. All right, so the first independent book, you probably have heard of this book. It's a little known book called The Walking Dead. All right, so it has a huge TV show, big following, and it was created by Robert Kirkman. And I got a really quick little story. Several years ago, I was at a book convention, like just for a reading convention. And I was going around. That's what I was toying with the idea of trying to write my own comic book. And I met this guy that there was a comic section. It was very small because it was all kind of literature there. And this guy, I got into this conversation with him. He was like, "Hey, how you doing?" It's like, "Yeah, hey, my name is Robert Kirkman. I just started this new book. It's called The Walking Dead. Like, would you like to check it out?" I was like, "Well, cool. Yeah, it's about zombies." I said, "All right." So he gave me a copy. He signed it because he was not knowing me. And it was only like 20 something issues out at the time. This was the first collection of like the first 10 issues. And so I'm like, "Oh, thank you really much." But so many years later, I got to meet Robert Kirkman and have him sign my Walking Dead book. So that was amazing. So this is Michonne, one of the standout breakout characters from The Walking Dead. This was her first appearance. Pretty gruesome, pretty creepy. And to give you a little backstory on Michonne, these two zombies she's walking with, this was her cover. Like she walked around and she didn't get attacked because she had these two zombies with her. So they always thought she was also a zombie. She used to have her hoodie on typically. But these zombies are her brother and her husband. And that's why she kept them around for so long, because they were actually connected to her and she couldn't put it in her heart to kill them. So she kept them with her. Yeah. Thanks, Dear's Life. All right. Hey, Sandra, how you doing? Hey, Wally, no, I've not heard of the artist Piper Rudick. I'm not familiar with that. Just let me know who that is. What kind of books do they write? I'm not sure. No, I haven't heard of that artist. But yeah, this is the Michonne with her husband and brother. Yeah, Michonne, yeah, she's off the chain. You can't mess with Michonne. Nothing. And then I'm just like, if you watch the show, it's one thing, but the books, it's even worse. It's more gruesome. Definitely not for kids. Definitely not for kids. All right, this next independent character is a new one you may not know of. This is a character, her name is Faith. And this is also written by Jolie Jones, who wrote Wonder Girl. And she also writes Catwoman. And I got to know this character because I saw the book and I thought, this is different. So it's about a girl named Faith Evans. Not Faith, I'm sorry, Faith Evans, the music artist. Her name is Faith. But she has this psychic ability. and she can fly with it. She can kind of make concussive fields, and she calls it her psi force or her psi shield that kind of works with her, and it's really powerful. She was part of a group originally, and then kind of branched out on her own. But what I love about this book, she is not your stereotypical female character. She is overweight and she's powerful and she's confident and she's just living her perfect life as a superhero. She's also one who always loved like fantasy, cosplay, and got into comics. So she just like once she got her powers, this was like everything she wished for. And this is Faith. And I have two versions of number one, like the original cover and the variant. And I had Jolie Jones sign these too. So this is Faith. And that's actually what drew me to the book, that she was not your typical looking superhero. Like, a lot of the times, unfortunately, a lot of the young ladies, they draw them with these skimpy clothes, enhanced body shape. And I just like that this was something like more of like your average typical woman. And this is the other variant, which I really love this variant a lot. Hey, Albert, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. Okay. This next one I have to preference a bunch of times. This book is not for kids. It is extremely violent. It has a lot of choice words in it, but the concept is very interesting. So, a lot of times when you're young, you're a kid, and you remember like enjoying fairy tales and like, man, I wish I could kind of go into this fairyland world and just like, enjoy all the different things that I've read about or seen. Like it would be like a fantasy, or even like the old game Candyland. If I could like live in this world for a while, this would be great. And that is the premise of this book. It's about a little girl named Gretchen who, at I think about 8 or 9, she was able to go into this fairy world and everything was happy. She had this companion who was like a fly, but he was like instead of a cricket, he was a fly and he was happy. And she was going around and just enjoying it and said, all you have to do is complete several tasks and you can go home. So she's like, oh, this is perfect. So she's like, I don't ever want to leave. So she's going through the task. She completes the first one, completes the second one. Then she gets to one more and she kept messing up. She could never get it done. So she has been stuck in fairyland for a number of years, but she can't grow up. She can't age. She stays in this like 8, 9-year-old body, but she's an adult. She is about 30 something years old. So that's why I say where the violence comes in, where the choice words come in, because she just wants to go home. And now she doesn't even care. So she is kind of like slaughtering everything in fairyland so she can find a way to get home. And the name of the book is I Hate Fairyland. It's written and drawn by Scotty Young, a local Chicago writer and artist. He's done a lot of things for Marvel and other companies too. And I love his cartoony style, but it's very, very gruesome. And I got him to sign this book as well. As you can see by that menacing look, the blood-soaked axe, and her little fly, who is also her companion. Kind of like, yes, what was that question? It's like the girl from Eternals. Kind of is like, yeah, I think it is a little bit, but you can see she murders everything there. I mean, I do mean everything. And she's just trying to get home. That's all she wants to do. I would suggest if you're into like obscure, weird comics, check this book out for sure. I won't give too much away, but one thing that does kind of change the way she kind of sees things is that when some new person comes to fairyland, because it's only been her for so many years, but a new person is arrived there and she tries to find a way to use that person to get home. So that person will be stuck there. But I Hate Fairyland is a really good book. I will say this, there is another version of this same book with a different title. Instead of I Hate Fairyland, let's just say it's a choice word, Fairyland. And I'll leave it at that. And I do have some of those covers, but of course I will not show them on the channel. All right. The last book in this independent section is a character that you would think would be a Marvel character. So you all are familiar with Black Widow from the Avengers, her own movie. She's been around for years. Well, this independent book said, well, since Marvel doesn't necessarily own the Widow term by itself, this new company came up with this character called the White Widow. And she is kind of like a mix of Black Widow with her gymnastics and abilities, but she kind of has this Venom-esque symbiotic suit. Her story is really interesting. This character, her parents worked on this secret project, and the White Widow character was really sick. That's why they kind of got involved in it. But since they worked for this company, everything they did belonged to the company, and they figured out the company was going to take their project and use it for nefarious means. And so they stole it and injected their daughter to help her. And so she has this symbiote like white costume that comes out that enhances her abilities, lets her fight well, take damage, and her costume can morph a little bit. But the character is called White Widow, and the covers are amazing. There's only been so many issues out now, but it's a really interesting, different book. It's come from a company called Absolute Comics. So this is White Widow. This is issue 1 with the holographic foil cover. Like I said, it does tend to borrow a lot from Marvel, but I really like this book. I've enjoyed it so far, and I'm just curious to see where they go. Absolute Comics is a new comic company that's up and coming, so I hope they are more successful, and they have several other books in their catalog coming out. That was it for my indie books. So once again, tell me what you think about some of those covers. What did you enjoy? What did you like? What are you curious about? I'm eager to answer all of your questions. Those are my independent comic books with females representing on all the covers. Thanks, Dear's Life. Thanks. That cover is pretty sweet. I appreciate that. Yeah. All right. Moving along to Marvel, which is kind of where I have the most of these books. All right, so Marvel books, I have quite a few of these with a lot of females on the cover. So the first one, you may not recognize this character because the representation in the MCU of this character does not look anything like the character in the comics. So if you've watched the Hawkeye series on Disney Plus, it's a really good series. I highly recommended it. There was a character in there named Maria Lopez. She kind of was working with the Kingpin in it, and that's kind of her character's origin in the comics as well. Maria Lopez is deaf, and so she's a Native American, and she got hired because Kingpin kind of let her know that Daredevil was responsible for the death of her father. And so she went on a personal vendetta to hunt him down. And Echo kind of has almost very similar powers to Taskmaster. She can mimic anything she sees. So she can has this almost photogenic memory of any kind of pattern. So she can mimic anything as far as action, but she has no actual superpowers. And this is how Monica Lopez Echo looks in the comic book. And I love this variant cover. I think the name is named Andy Mackey. He has this watercolor style, and I like she has the sign language over her head. As you can see, I'm zooming in a little bit. It says Echo. And this is a rare variant cover because if you look, it's called Marvel Voices. And there's no title at the top. And that's what makes this one a little bit more rare. Thanks, Dear's Life. Yeah, you got the indies are where it's at right now. They are popping off. No problem, Zen. We'll see you in a minute. Yeah, Echo is a really light cover, nice character. If you look at her face, she has this handprint tattoo that's been there for a long time. And I love the nod to this in the Hawkeye show because there was a scene when she was first introduced. When she turned around, she was in a room and there were these blinds, and it kind of made this symbol on her face. And I was like, oh, I see how they did it. They didn't actually give her the tattoo, but they used that as something to kind of give her that way to how it looked. Yeah, the character arc was amazing. Yes, June, it was. Thanks for that, PC. Yeah, that Echo is dope. So going right with that Daredevil train, I got to go with the new Daredevil, which is actually Daredevil's love interest, Elektra. So in the comics not too long ago, Daredevil actually went to jail, which is kind of ironic. He's a lawyer. How did he get to jail? Well, he committed a crime as he was trying to stop this villain. He actually ended up killing him. It was an accident. And they were gonna kind of like let him go because he's like, I'm a superhero. But he was like, no, I did something wrong. I need to be charged like everybody else. He went to a court. He was found guilty, and he actually served some time in jail. And during this time, Elektra stepped up to be the new Daredevil. Now it's kind of interesting because he was allowed to keep his mask on because they didn't want his identity to be revealed. So he stayed in prison with this orange jumpsuit, but he still had his horns on, and everybody was kind of like afraid of him. They wouldn't really challenge him. But Elektra would go and meet with him every now and again, and he kind of like, you have to be Daredevil. I need somebody out there because otherwise, Hell's Kitchen is going to blow up, and there's no one running it or protecting it like I was. And this is Elektra as Daredevil. It's written by Chip Zdarsky. And one thing he had to do, because Daredevil does not kill. And Elektra, in a minute, will kill someone with those sides. So he had her change her size. If you look closely, they don't have points anymore. They're kind of on this square tip. So it's more to just like hit pressure points and hit strong, to not like to weaken somebody, but not to kill. That was the oath. She promised that she would not kill while she is being Daredevil. Going. Yeah, the love affair. Yeah. Their love affair is really interesting. Daredevil has had a few loves. Yeah, Karen Page, Elektra, and at one point in time, as a character who was on a Daredevil show, Typhoid Mary. Yeah, so he's had a really interesting love life. But Elektra has been the love of his life, the true one. They always go back and forth. All right, this next book, in the era of subscription boxes, at one point in time, Marvel came out with their first one called Marvel Collector Core, where I got most of my pops from. And used to always have shirts, pops, a rare comic. Then Stan Lee, while he was still alive, his company put out a Stan Lee box. And what was in that box was nothing but comic books. So each of these comics had Stan Lee on the cover in some fashion. So it didn't last too long because he passed away not too long after the boxes started coming out. And each box had about 3 to 4 comics with Stan Lee on them. And this was one of the ones I got that I actually really love. And it features a little unknown character, but I think it's starting to gain some popularity. She's known in the comic book world. She's from a group called the Great Lake Avengers. So you got the main Avengers, but these are the Great Lake Avengers. And she's one of the members, and her name is Squirrel Girl. I know it sounds crazy. She has the power of a squirrel, and she has this big bushy tail. She can climb really well, and she has a telepathic connection with any squirrels. So at first, like, what is she really going to do? But when she calls out the squirrels to swarm and attack an enemy, there is nothing they can do. She has actually defeated big enemies like Dr. Doom and Thanos. So it's like, wait a minute, this little girl has done all this. Yes. And this is the rare cover of Squirrel Girl and Stan Lee from the Stan Lee Collector's Box. Yes, she is the strongest Avenger. And the little squirrel with the bow on it, that's her favorite pet squirrel named Tippy Toe. Now, I know I've shown you my Funko Pops, but there is a Squirrel Girl Funko Pop that actually comes with Tippy Toe. Kind of hard to find right now, but it does exist. All right, this next Marvel character, you may have heard of her. She did have a cartoon back in the day when those old like Spider-Man cartoons and Incredible Hulk, Fantastic Four. A little character, she was kind of known, but then kind of not known that well, is actually Spider-Woman. Her name is Jessica Drew. Her father was, I think, a member of Hydra, actually, and she was dying also of some kind of rare disease, and he injected her with this formula from Hydra, which gave her like these strange powers. Now, the crazy part, most of her powers don't revolve around Spider-Man. She can't crawl on walls. She doesn't use webs, but she has really interesting powers. She can fly. That has been changed throughout the history. Like currently, she's not able to fly, but she has this psychic. She has psychic webs she can throw out, like kind of use her ability to like confuse people's mind. But her number one ability is she has this pheromone projection. So she can kind of get, and it's kind of interesting, she can get men to do whatever she wants for her while they're in her field. So like villains will want to give up. She can kind of persuade people to do something just by telling them because they are attracted to her pheromones, and then she kind of can control them, kind of like spiders do in the real world. All right. So Zim, I see the question about the pops. I would have to count. I think I have somewhere in the 50s. A lot of them came from the Marvel Collectors Court. That's how I got started in the pops. But then I started getting some on my own too. All right. So this is Spider-Woman, and this is her new costume. They kind of changed it from what it used to be. This is the variant cover of her jumping out this plane. All right, and this is kind of her new costume. And what makes her interesting right now is that Spider-Woman is actually married and she has a child. All right, and so right now she's like, I'm fighting to protect my family. So she goes on various missions, kind of like working with S.H.I.E.L.D., even S.H.I.E.L.D. in the comics does not exist anymore. They got disbanded. So she kind of works around and helps out and does like spy secret missions. This next book, yes, you definitely, Regina, need to get your daughter that. It's a good story arc. You can find all of these usually are in graphic novels, and they have usually issues 1 to 6 or longer collected, and they usually run anywhere from $15.99 to way higher than that, depending on the size of the collection. This next book, you've seen the pop of this one. I have it. Let me see if I can grab it right quick. We talked about this one, the Dark Captain Marvel, when she had to fight the Avengers. This is where this character came from. This is the first issue featuring Dark Captain Marvel. And when I tell you she whooped all of the Avengers, she did. As you can see, they all laying dead. Even Wanda, she put them all down. And she was forced to appear like she had killed them, but what she was really doing was putting them, spoiler alert, in a pocket dimension so that they would appear to be dead. So the person who had captured her and forced her to do this didn't know what was really happening. This is a good story arc. It's called The Last Avenger, and that is out currently in a graphic novel with, I think it's all 6 parts to this. It is an amazing read, and just seeing Captain Marvel kind of do things in a different way. Yeah, Regina, I see that. Yeah, it does gonna have a lot of good summer reading. That's a lot of books. I mean, that's kind of how I kind of started off too. Like once I got interested in comics, I just picked them up, and so I always wanted to read. And to this day, I love reading, no matter what it is, whether it's just your standard novel or a comic book. I'm always excited to read. How many covers do I have, Sandra? Oh man, it's hard to even say. I mean, like I say, I get the regular ones if I like them. Excuse me, and that's how I actually started, like, not really collecting comics. When I first was interested, you kind of see with your eyes first. So any cover that kind of drew my eye, I would pick up when I was younger. But now I look for the variants because those are usually worth a lot more. So usually there's like a 1 out of 10 variant. So you have to have 10 regular covers to get one of those. And it goes to 25, 50, and even higher. Those ones that cost really a lot of money, yes, usually like the 100 variant out of that set. So you have to get 100 regular issues to get one of those variants. And that's why they're so expensive, because the comic shop has to order so many regular ones to get the variants. And there's no guarantee that book is going to sell. So the comics pay regular price, but they usually up the ante because they're trying to push and move that variant. And they're always worth more and have a higher value. Right. This is a regular cover though, but I really loved of Shuri. She had her own book for a little while. So when Black Panther was like off planet, he had gone and he was kind of like, he had went through this portal. He was in the future and doing some space stuff. Shuri kind of took over. She was not the Black Panther, but then she was convinced that she had to step up and take that role. And so she did. This is Shuri number 8 with her finally becoming the Black Panther. And I really love this cover. I can see this as like a art piece on the wall. I love this, how it looks, and like the mask is starting to wrap around and kind of come over her with that purple energy that we all know, with the vibranium. And like I said, this blown up as a piece in the wall would look really good. That's why I say it looks like an art piece anyway. And that's what all comic book covers are to me, is just a form of art. They can be right up there with your Picassos and everything else. Rembrandts, all of that. I hope so. I hope so. This, like, yes, I really do hope this. We see this a piece of this, or at least alluding to this in the new movie. All right, going with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. You can see on the side of my poster, my side over here. This is Doctor Strange's wife. This new poster, that's Clea, who's taken over since Doctor Strange in the comics is dead. He actually died, and his estranged wife has become the new Doctor Strange. But in the movie, there's a character that's going to be introduced to the MCU called America Chavez. She's born in a multiversal area, and she has the ability to make portals through that. And so she can either kick the portals like in the star pattern or punch them through. She has superhuman strength, she can fly, but she's been around for a while, and she's actually a member of the Young Avengers in the comics. And this is issue number 1 of America Chavez. And this is a variant cover. So if you don't have your America Chavez stuff, I guarantee after the movie goes out, all of her stuff is going to go up in value. So as you can see, she's pushing this with a portal because she's gotten so stronger. She just has to push it and then break open to a different multiverse. Yeah. I don't know the name of the person playing her in the movie, but I know it's a new character. It's a new actress, at least to the MCU. All right, going with the classic Scarlet Witch. We've seen a lot of her fully becoming to her powers now with the Disney Plus series WandaVision. And you know she is going to tear some stuff up in the Multiverse of Madness. And this is a cover of Scarlet Witch that I just got not too long ago. And in her full garb, in her classic costume, using all of her reality warping powers. Right. Yes, Zim, I would love him to do a Young Avengers arc. They did in the beginning when Marvel introduced her. I was like surprised because they didn't really hint on her magic powers. They kind of gave her telepathy, and I was like, it's okay, it works. But I'm like, when are we gonna see her powers? And the show really let us see that. So her powers are called chaos magic. So in the comics originally, they showed that she didn't really have control over her magic. She just kind of would use it, and it worked in her favor. But they're really going to explore the history between her and Chthon, the god who kind of gave her powers, from that book, The Darkhold. So I can't wait to see the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness to dive deeper with this character. The next book came out last year during Women's Month, International Women's History Month. And this was just a collection of kind of like all the Marvel female characters. And I thought it was really cool because it kind of just showed off various characters in it. Some of these characters you may or may not know. All right, we got She-Hulk, Tigra, Misty Knight, you may know her from Luke Cage series, and Charlene Wu, who is also in the Iron Fist series. Right, they're together, Misty Knight and Charlene are known as the Daughters of the Dragon. Tigra is a character that's been around for a while, and she was actually part of what's called the West Coast Avengers when Hawkeye left and kind of started his own group on the West Coast. I think so too. I think, yeah, Zim, I think Scarlet Witch will be the Zim, yeah, she will be the antagonist. My channel, Sandra, thanks for the good question. My channel, I started August. That's when I started my channel. Oh, Zara, I'm sorry, Zara. I started in August. Yes. Yeah, hey, Zara, yes, hey. Yep, I had it since August. All right. This book is a group. You saw a preview of this group in the Avengers Endgame. If you remember the scene, for those of you who saw, you remember the scene that when Peter Parker was holding on to the Infinity Gauntlet and he was trying to fight and everybody was coming for him. He was kind of scared, like, I don't know what to do. And Captain Marvel stood up like, hey, kid, you got something for me? And he's like, I don't know how you're going to get through all that. And like, well, she has help. And all the female characters came up and everybody kind of like went crazy again. And that group actually in the comic is called A-Force. So it was a group of all the female Avengers. And this is the first issue of A-Force, but it's done in that hip-hop Marvel cover style. See if you can tell me what classic hip-hop album this cover is done in. Throw it in the chat. And the title of the comic gives it away a little bit, Straight Out of Comics. Sister Regina, I think you should get this one. All right, June, I think you got it. Let's see. What classic hip hop album is this cover from? Yes, sir. NWA, straight out of Compton, for sure. Yeah, all right, all right. This character you may have heard of. She is Marvel's equivalent to Catwoman. She's been featured predominantly in the Spider-Man comics, and she was Spider-Man's one-time love interest, especially when he had the black symbiote costume. She really liked Spider-Man being more dark and evil, and he had broken up with Mary Jane, so he was kind of lonely. And this character, like, you know what? This is my kind of guy. I like what he does. And she was a thief. That's why I say very similar to Catwoman. She's a thief as well. She has though enhanced abilities. She has claws. She can crawl around. A little bit of enhanced strength. And this is Black Cat. Okay. This is a variant cover. So in the current story arc, Black Cat is going around the Marvel Universe, actually stealing different items and selling them to the highest bidder. And one of the craziest things she was charged with was stealing the Infinity Gauntlet. And she was successful. You have to check out that arc. I don't have the issue with me. That was in my storage unit. But it's a nice cover of Black Cat on really close up. And she, instead of having her regular hand out, she has the Infinity Gauntlet on. And it's like has claws attached to it because it kind of morphed to fit her. That was a really good, it's called Infinity Heist, that arc. You should check out the Infinity Heist with Black Cat. Yeah, they were a tight couple, Julia. Spidey and Black Cat used to always hang out together. And once he kind of got rid of the costume, she was like, you know what? I'm not interested in you anymore. It's kind of messed up. This next book is features a character that I know you all have recently loved or grown to love. And this is the very first appearance of Captain Carter. Because when she came out in the Disney Plus What If series, I'm like, she looks, I mean, I love the concept. I love the idea. I'm like, I feel like I've seen this character before. So I had to go digging in my books. It's like, wait a minute. I do remember seeing her. There was a book called The Exiles. It features several people from different multiverses. They kind of been thrown together as a group, and they kind of go to different multiverses, fixing things that can possibly end all of it. And when each member has done enough to fix their place and others, they get sent back to their home, and then a new member pops in. So this is where we got Captain Carter from. It's Exiles, issue number 3, and they just called it Peggy Carter as Captain America. But this is the first premiere of Captain Carter. She, yes, June. Black Cat was able to hold the Infinity Gauntlet, and that's the thing. Like in the movies, that's different from the comics. In the comics, anyone can hold it, so it doesn't cause like all that radiation and corruption like you see in the movies. It's entirely different. Anyone can wear the gauntlet, so they changed that for the movies. I think just to make sure that a powerful person had to have it. Okay, we're getting down to some of my signed books in my collection. I want to show you some of those. So once again, Miss Marvel is coming to Disney Plus pretty soon with her own show. So recently, I did an interview with Sarah Hamid. So I was really lucky to be able to get for her to grant me that interview. And she is currently writing Miss Marvel. And I talked to her, check out one of my previous videos to see that interview. And I got her to sign one of my issues. So issue 1. And I love the way the artist drew this issue because it looks like a old school pencil drawing of Miss Marvel. And there's Sarah's signature right there in the lower corner. Thanks, Zara. Appreciate it. All right, and thank you all for joining me and rocking with me for this this stream I'm doing. I appreciate all your support, all your comments. Keep them going. Let me know what you like. What are things you want me to share more about some of these? I really appreciate that. All right, this next character is one you know from Avengers really well, and Infinity War, Infinity Gauntlet, and the Guardians of the Galaxy, which is Gamora. Now, Gamora is the daughter of Thanos. She is not biological, but he kept her and trained her from the time she was a little kid. And the Gamora in this particular version, Thanos was gone, and the Infinity Pieces were scattered. And Gamora wanted to get them to destroy them. And she went on a hunt looking for all the Infinity Pieces and was trying to destroy them. And this particular cover, it's a variant cover of Gamora, and it's drawn in a more realistic style, like if she was a human and how she would look. And I got the author, Gary Dugan, who wrote the book, to sign this for me. This is the Guardians of the Galaxy in issue 1, the variant cover of Gamora. So as I was talking to him, he actually used someone he knows, and there's a signature right there at the bottom, to actually pose for this. So this is based on a real person that he used as a model to draw the makeup for this Gamora Guardians of the Galaxy issue 1. Thanks, Zara. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, they're all pretty nice. All right. Another popular character, which I also featured in the pop-up. This is, I have her up. I can't find her right now. She must be hiding, which is Spider-Gwen. All right, Spider-Gwen was introduced a while ago in this series called Edge of the Spider-Verse. So this was before like the Into the Spider-Verse stuff came out. There was a book before called Edge of the Spider-Verse. Then they did Spider-Verse. So Edge kind of introduced us to all these different versions of Spider-Man. And Gwen is based off of Gwen Stacy. And in this universe, Peter Parker died, and Gwen ended up stepping up, and she was the one bit by the spider and became Spider-Gwen. Now, what happened to Spider-Man? He actually got injected with some of the chemicals that turned him into the lizard. So he actually didn't just die, he was killed because he was becoming a villain. And Gwen is the one who had to do it. Just how, like, in the real comics, Spider-Man accidentally killed Gwen when he tried to save her with his webs when Green Goblin threw her off the bridge. Gwen, in this universe, accidentally killed Peter Parker because he was becoming the lizard and she didn't have a choice of anything else to do. And I got to meet the author, Jason Latour, and I had him sign it, but he did something special for me because we started talking and I was telling him how I'm a teacher and I use comics in my classroom. And we talked for about 5 minutes and he was like, I'm gonna add something extra to your cover with this signature. And I was very grateful. So this is Spider-Gwen, Edge of the Spider-Verse. This is her first appearance. This is how she looked. But if you look at the bottom, he drew a sketch. Now, in the comic world, if you get someone to draw a sketch, that's another way that your book goes up increasingly in value because they don't always draw sketches on your books. So this is really cool that I got this. Tokyo Disney did. You clowning. I see it. But yeah, I get what you're saying. No, yeah, about the Gamora cover. I know what you mean. This is another one I had him sign. So this was when Spider-Gwen got her own comic. And there's a classic cover in the Amazing Spider-Man, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's either 200 or 300. He's in this really unique pose. And Marvel constantly uses this pose for multiple covers, different Spider-Man. They even had other characters do this pose. So they had to get any Spider character in it. And this is Gwen in that very classic, I believe it's Amazing Spider-Man number 300 or 200 in this pose. It's the first collector's issue. It's a variant cover. And there's the artist signature. And see if you see that little mark in the bottom. Oh, there we go. That's where he kind of got that idea to kind of do that sketch for me. Regina, I see you. That's your sketchbook. I get you, girl. I can't get it. You're going to have to come fight me first. All right. Okay. We're getting down to the end. Once again, thank you. Throw those comments in. I really appreciate it. I got to go now with my ex-family. So, Zim, if you still are available, some of these will be perfect for you because I know who is your favorite X-Men character. So, this first book, it's a variant. It's called, there was an old book a while ago called Giant Size X-Men. And when Giant Size X-Men was introduced, that was the first like diverse, the most diverse cast of characters at the time. They introduced Storm, Colossus, Wolverine, Banshee, all these multi-ethnic people, Thunderbird. And so recently, the X-Men have kind of just been running things. They have their own island, Krakoa, and they have kind of like taken over. And so they're like, this is not enough. We need to get bigger. And so what they decided to do to kind of really like flex their muscles a little bit, they terraformed Mars, and they have their own planet now. And so this is planet-sized X-Men, where they actually did that in this issue. They went to Mars and they got various mutants to terraform it. So like Storm handled the weather. There was other ones that can control water, others that can control plant life. I don't know what you talking about, Diz. Like what you talking about, Jim, with that Molly Q? Yeah. Oh, cool, Wally. You got that giant size X-Men. Wow, that's a classic book. There's a character on the front you may not know in the upper right there. This character is Magic. She actually is Colossus' sister, and she can kind of go through hell, go through portals through hell, and she has like this sword called the Soul Sword. If you get stabbed with that thing, your soul is gone. So she's also a big name in the characters who flex that muscle. You got Storm, Jean Grey, and Rogue, and Magic. Okay. And that was this event where they announced that they were terraforming Mars and kind of going there through their own planet. It had something like the Met Gala. It was called the X-Men Gala. And this is when they wore their unique outfits for the X-Men Gala. And this is Storm in her outfit. You just saw it on the cover, but this is a more close-up. And I just had this cover I had to have. It's just dope. So instead of her cape, she got the storm cloud behind her. And you can't tell her nothing. Yes, and Magic was in that bad New Mutants movie. She was about the only character that was pretty accurate that I did like, but the movie was horrible. I agree. Yeah, it is a beautiful cover. She knows. I appreciate that. All right. The next one is Rogue from that same issue. This is Rogue. She is married to the X-Men Gambit. Her original powers came from Captain Marvel, because Rogue's ability is to absorb anyone's memories and powers when she touches them. So she actually had fought Miss Marvel. At the time, she was called Miss Marvel. Instead of Captain Marvel, she touched her and absorbed and was able to keep most of her powers, which was superhuman strength and light. And these gala covers made a connecting cover, I'm sorry. And there was, I think, 6 of them or 12 of them total. I'm not doing a great job trying to put them together, but they all kind of was like one line, like the kind of the red carpet. They were all connected. Yeah, I would love to see the Rogue in the MCU museum. I would love that. Now, these next 3, I got to see to each, or next 4, I got to see to each in December. And they were printed by a company called Unknown Comic Shop. I mentioned them before in a couple of videos. And these covers were part of the Hellfire Gala, but they made the covers like real magazine covers, like InStyle, Esquire, and all these other magazines. And they have a really cool look. So the first one is Emma Frost in her magazine cover. Like our editor-in-chief tells it all. The inaugural special edition. And you see her putting in her diamond form on her legs, trying to bring it up. Yes, Zara, there will be a pop for the Black Panther. There are several of them. Yeah, this is a dope cover. Okay, so that's Emma Frost, the White Queen. And that's this pop. I know I got that one handy. In her diamond skin form. Right, and that was her. The next one was Rogue. Yes, coming through Emma Frost, yes. And I loved it. Like I said, I loved it because they look like magazine covers. They were inspired by all of those magazines. I think I don't know if they're drawn by men or women. I have to double check that. Because like I said, these were rare. And this to show you how much I value them, like I bought them and I've never opened them. Like I read the original covers, but I didn't open these. These was just super dope. And actually, because I bought these at the last day of C2E2, there was a deal. I think it was like $40 for 4 covers. So I'm like, okay, I'm down for it. Yeah, Rogue is hiding all that skin because you can't touch it. And I got my girl Magic. Yeah, Magic is killing them. Yeah, they are all boss covers. Like you can't touch us. And she's Russian, just like her brother Colossus. Like it says, from limbo. Limbo is the hell that she goes to. From instead of saying from Russia with love, from limbo with love. You can't follow Ro. I see you, Regina. But no, I saved the best for last because this last one I have, you can't follow this one. This one just outdoes them all. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, sorry, Zim. This is Storm's cover. Giving you that ebony feel. A perfect storm. It gets no better. Or essence. Yeah, ebony or essence feel. Hey, Zara, how many posters do I have? I change up the posters regularly. So this is just one I have in the background. That's the Doctor Strange one, but I only have one. But I change them up because I don't keep them all out. I roll them up, put them away, change them out. I will be bringing one to the class to put in the Kearney store. So look out for that. All right. These last two with the X-Men characters are some ones that I also like a lot. The first one is from a local Chicago artist named Alex Ross. He does paintings. So he has this big board that he produces all these paintings. And one of his first well-known books was Batman. He did a Batman special, and he did a really good job because he does these huge paintings and then, of course, takes pictures and digitizes them and sends them to Marvel and DC, and they shrink them down to make books. So he's done like Shazam. He's done Batman. He's done Harley Quinn and Joker. If you saw I think the original Suicide Squad movie, there's a scene where Harley is like having a flashback where she's dancing with Joker, like they're holding arms and kind of dancing. That image came from one of Alex Ross's covers in the Batman and the Harley and Joker book. But he did some Marvel ones as well. And this is one of Storm. And this is also a special cover. It's called a version cover because when you see it, most comic books, regular comic books have a couple of things on them. So, like for example, it has the title, it has the issue number, and it has the barcode at the bottom so you can scan it. So a version cover is the raw uncut with none of that stuff in it. All right, no problem. Thanks a lot, Dear's Life. Keep it going. This one is the Storm version cover. And I would love to get this signed because there's nothing on it. It's just her. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Regina. Yeah, this is a beautiful version of Storm. And all this stuff is just works of art. Okay. One of the last ones I have in the X-Men line, and I'll be done shortly, is the Jean Grey. This is a Phoenix resurrection. Jean Grey has died multiple times, and she always comes back like a phoenix, like it's reborn. And this one I did get signed. Yeah, they are definitely works of art. And I got this signed by two people. If you can see in the bottom corner, I got this signed by the artist and the author who wrote the book. And just to show you, this book came with a certificate of authenticity to let you know how rare it is. There you go. Signed by Mark Brooks and Matthew Rosenberg. All right, so that is perfect.
Sandra, he changes it every week.
Yeah.
Phoenix is his favorite.
Yeah. Yes, Zim. Yeah, I know this is your favorite. I'm sorry, you can't have this one. You're gonna have to find, search hard and long to find that one. Yeah. And these are my last books, you all. These are my last 4 books. So right around the beginning of Women's History Month, actually a little bit before, Marvel did this thing to just kind of get you ready and honor all the women. And they had them in these old school forms and these classic forms. This is a character you may not know of. Her name is Patsy Walker. She was in the Jessica Jones series, but they didn't really give her in her true form. Her name is Hellcat. She's an Avenger, another cat-like power Avenger. But this is Patsy Walker, and she is currently the love interest of Iron Man. So her and Pepper Potts got something to do. She's gone now. They didn't get married. I see you, Sim. Like I said, you're gonna have to fight me. But this is her in this old school, like almost like I don't even know what period. I want to say 50s, maybe? Or is it older than that? This style. I see you, Regina. You got a long bike ride to Chicago. All right, but yeah, this is Hellcat. And the next one in that style is a little bit more modern. All right, this is Spider-Woman. She's kind of like giving you that business casual. Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman. But I love these. These are all variants. I love the way they look. You know, once again, these caught my eye, and I just had to grab them. Next, we have the She-Hulk, who is also getting a Disney Plus series. Her book just restarted again. She is the cousin of Bruce Banner, and so he is going to appear in the show as well. This is She-Hulk in her, after her cool work attire, almost giving me like that Miami Vice vibe from the look of it, the way she's posing. She-Hulk is a lawyer. She kind of helps defend superheroes from all the damage they do, and so they don't have to pay all that money out. All right, we are almost done. This is one of the last ones. This is Emma Frost. And of course, Emma Frost has always kind of been like elegant. She kind of in higher society. So she is really rocking this evening wear in this old school like diamond outfit. And she has her fur around her. I got to get in close because of the lights. You are not going to mess with Miss Frost.
She be representing
I don't think She-Hulk want to take that case, Regina. I think he's gonna have to deal with that on his own. Okay, and the final issue I had to save the best one for last. It's right along with that same woman design. This one is, I know I've said a lot of these about these works of art, but this one really is a piece of art. It is Shuri, and she is rocking her African vibe, and the colors are just so vibrant. I love them 100%. This is another one I would love to have blown up. That head wrap, the jacket, and the dress is just all working. I see you, Zim. You are not wrong in that. You are not wrong at all. Yeah, stop and take a screenshot if you like this one. Yes, all hail the queen. Yes, she's killing it. Everything from the jewels and all. Y'all all trying to get my book. Do I need to keep my vault closed? This is only a little. This is not even 5%. This is just a little taste. This is a teaser of the vault. All right, everyone. those are all my variant and regular and signed books from one of my vaults. All right. So I will do this again. If you all really want me to kind of do one every now and again while I go through the vault and just kind of show you some of the books I have, please leave me a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe. If you enjoyed this, consider subscribing. Send me a like as well if that just touches your heart. And hit that notification bell to know when I drop new content. I want to thank everyone for coming out. I really appreciate this. And since I know this is April 1st, I wanted to kind of get this on the last day of the Women's History Month. So coming up, a couple of things I have planned. I want to kind of start a new series. I've talked about it before, like whatever happened to. So I'll look at some characters that I used to like that may not be around anymore, like whatever happened to that character, and also hopefully educate you and let you learn a couple of things about these characters. I'm also probably going to plan to show off some of my collectibles this month, so you get to see some of those. All right. Once again, I appreciate everyone, and I will catch you next time. Peace. I'm your host, Joseph. Fiction and flow. I'm your host, Joseph. Fiction and flow. I'm your host, Joseph. Fiction and flow. If you don't have it, you are truly missing it. What's up? I'm your host, Joseph. Fiction and flow. I'm your host, Joseph. Fiction and flow. I'm your host, Joseph. Fiction and flow. If you don't have it, you are truly missing it. What's up? We are talking about